Hey everyone, I'm here with the eighth person voted off of Survivor NCSU Season 2, my fellow Season 1 alum, Jacob. How's it going?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
I've been great too, excited to get the season going and watching your episode. I knew it was coming, but still sad to see. I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna be asking the hard-hitting questions just because I know you can take it. So
Please,
be prepared for that.
I'm ready.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I kind of want to start off with this episode. It starts off with the follow up of the Crazy Tribal Council from last time, where Aziza was voted off. A lot of whispering, a lot of names being thrown out. Ultimately, Aziza goes home with that in her pocket. How are you feeling coming into this round of gameplay?
For this next episode, I was thinking, okay, this has just been a crazy tribal council. Like, I need to do something. I haven't won an immunity challenge yet, and I was kind of seen with Aziza. She was pulling me off, and right before the tribal council, me, Aziza, Sean, and Caleb were in the woods for a while, and like people were actually yelling at us, like everyone needs to come out of the woods right now. We're on the way to tribal council. So I was like we saw in the episode, me and Mark were kind of the two people they were trying to pull aside, and I had considered it to vote with Sean. The only thing was that it was Aziza that came to me first. So I was a little like off put by that. And I didn't know how many people knew all of that or if I was really reading into it. So I felt like I had to do a lot in this next episode. And as we can tell, I was able to do literally nothing. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, you had I mean, you knew where the kind of votes were happening. You knew that some was going to Anna and some were going to Ziza, and you ultimately end up not flipping. What was your decision on ultimately not flipping and taking out Anna?
It was in all honesty that Aziza had came to me first and not Sean. I had been talking with Aziza. I was really hoping that I could work with her and Quinn and Caleb because I had started to see something forming with the girls. It hadn't entirely clicked in my head yet that they were like about to run the game, like they have been like trying to figure out into this point. And I was like, man, it's like getting really scary. I'm really intimidated by them, even though I was like, I really like Nikki. I wanted to work with her as much as possible. But yeah, it was, she had came up to me, and in all honesty, in hindsight, I felt like I should have went with her because that could have, I felt like it would have helped my game in the long run better to keep her there. And I possibly wouldn't have been in this position because then I would be seen by quote the other side as someone that could be trusted and work with instead of me just being a tribal person that was just going to pagong them, which honestly is what it ended my strategy ended up being, which is stupid because that was my strategy in season 1 and it got me cut and early because you kick out all the other like side distractions, and then all of a sudden you're like the only big fish left in the pond, and they're like, "Oh, let's get them out."
I mean, yeah, I definitely that's something I wanted to talk to you about. Like in season one, obviously, you were one of four returning players. What mistakes did you feel like you made in season one that you kind of wanted to implement in season two? And I know playing season two was a little bit of a last minute decision, but like, what was your mindset going into the game?
Yeah, so for some background for some people that know, I think Lee touched on it a little bit, but Lee and I were last minute cast as returnee. We were literally walking up and they were like, Jacob and Lee, we have two open spots and y'all are going to be on it. So we were like, okay. So me and him had no time to really strategize anything. And so I went in there thinking like, okay, what did I do wrong last time? And I really attribute what I did wrong last time just to like not really knowing what was going on. Like I felt like everyone thought I was a huge threat, but I was just kind of like, hey, this is fun. I'm like going around, I'm like, I'm just gonna try to like stay social and try to win as many challenges as possible and vote out the other side because like, oh yeah, my team trusts me so much. Not even thinking like, man, I'm like literally voting out all of my shields that are really hiding that like maybe I can win the game and maybe I should keep them around. So I had thought that was going to be my strategy going in. And then whenever we got separated in the split tribe, and it was me, Mark, and Nikki and Sean, I was like, okay, these are going to be my four that I am going to stick with and vote out the rest of the other tribe and really keep it. In my opinion, though, hindsight's 2020. Looking back, I feel like those are probably my four largest competition that's there. So like, why am I not joining up with other people trying to get them out whenever in reality those are all the people that are going to backstab me, even though none of them did except Lindsay.
Mhm. So do you think you play, like, too loyal of a game and, like, you are too stuck up on, like, the side that, like, you're originally placed on?
Most certainly, and it is a thought that I have, and I could, playing the game, I could just hear your voice in my head like, Jacob, you're so stupid. Vote him out. Vote him out. Why are you doing that? Go with Aziza. Go with Aziza. It's like your only path forward. But I don't know. Whenever you're there, because I've maybe known these people for, I don't know, how long was it? Like maybe 12 hours by the time that I'm being voted out, like, or that we're planning on voting people out. Like, I don't know these people. So I'm just going to go with the people that I know. I'm not going to go on a split decision for like the Aziza vote. Like, I don't really know you. And specifically with Aziza, she had been gone to exile twice. She had been on the split tribe, the like second, whatever the tribe was called, tribe for like maybe, I think I had spoken to her before the merge, maybe 8 minutes we had been together, and that's not including the challenge. I mean, it's insane. I didn't know her. I barely knew her.
I mean, yeah, that's what kind of want to talk to you about. So going into the merge, you were one of two returning players standing.
Hmm.
You and Jake were the only returning players who made it to the merge, and
Hmm.
ultimately you end up deciding to side with everyone else on the original Daniels tribe and vote Jake out.
Hmm.
Uh, you had a relationship with Jake outside of the game, and in his exit, he said that he felt most betrayed by you. Like, did you feel like the relationships you made in those, like, couple of days were stronger than the relationship you made with Jake? Or, like, what was the reasoning behind, like, voting Jake off?
Yeah, so for the Jake vote, we had been told that we were going to do a split on Aziza and Quinn or Caleb, one of the two was. I think it was Quinn. We were going to do a split, and the boys were all going to go with Aziza. The girls were going to go Quinn. This is of the original Daniels tribe, and we were just going to let the chips kind of fall. And if Aziza played her idol, we were going to get out Quinn and keep up those numbers. But at the same time, I had been told, and like I said in the interview, like that Jacob had talked with Jameson about possibly being able to vote out Lindsay, I think it was. And I expressed like, why are you doing that? Why are you trying to play this game whenever you are a returnee? And I felt like for Jake, he should have. And of course, like I got voted out too, so I really have nothing like to say, but just like has merit. But people are telling you how to vote, and I understand that you want to make moves, but it's too early. And for someone that I believe that Jake is someone that could have ridden under the radar a little bit longer and really relied on those things because no one was going to go after him until he put a target on himself. That was my rationale. If me and Jake are going to stay together in this game as long as possible, which I wanted to, I'm going to be the person that's getting the votes in tribal council. I'm going to be the person that people are strategizing against, try to get out. So let me take those arrows and you do both of our dirty work in seeing where the cracks are so that we can really ride it to the end. And that ended up not happening. I was walking to tribal council ready to the cameras didn't get it ready to vote Aziza. I had been told that. And Nikki walks up beside me and she goes, "There's been a change of plans. We're voting Jake." And I said, "What?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, is the rest of the tribe on it?" And then Mark and Sean kind of turned around. I leaned forward to them and I was like, "Who are you voting?" They both said, "We were told Jake. We were told Jake." And at that point, that's my close alliance. My other option of Nikki, Sean, and Mark all telling me the vote's Jake. So at that point, I figured that Caleb, Aziza, and Quinn were voting me. So at that point, my hands were tied. I had to vote Jake, or we were going to go to a tie between me and Jake. And I was going to go home if it was between that. I feel like that was just the obvious choice. So you know, they tied my hands for me and they made me vote the way that I needed to.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective that you share with that vote because in the episode, obviously, there are things that you can't see, and
Mhm.
it's kind of presented as the girls kind of forming together and being like, "Hey, we need to protect the girls in Aziza as a potential number, and let's put out Jake." So it's really interesting that you were voting off Jake because you thought that they were targeting Lindsay or targeting Anna, and I
Mhm.
think that really goes to show kind of how undercover Alliance was,
Oh, most definitely.
even though on the episodes it seems like they're pretty like open and public, like, but how, like, were you able to identify them as an alliance, as a trio, as close as they were? Like, what were you thinking in terms of like a possible girls alliance?
Yeah, so, like, first day that we were there, me and Nikki were walking back to camp, and I had kinda knew Nikki before the game, but not really, like, I think we had definitely talked before, so we knew of each other at the very least. I kind of said, "I would really like to work with you," and she said, "Girls Alliance, we need a 4th." And I said, "I would be definitely interested." Well, filming ended that day, then we kinda came in the next day, and then me and Nikki were put on another tribe. So I was like, okay, I definitely have this like thing with Nikki, but the the girls, it does seem like I'm very surprised how well documented it is because these conversations that they're showing you, that was the entire length of the conversation. That's not an edited conversation, at least in my perception. It's literally those 2 minutes and then they're gone. And I would also like to say, I do really think a lot of the discussion is really going on between Anna and Nikki, and Lindsay is that much needed extra vote that is really boistering their decision. And then they know the math. They're both very smart. All three of them are very smart, but especially Nikki and Anna, who I feel like are really leading it so far. They are really pulling it in and they're showing. They're pulling in that extra person they know they need for the vote, and then once they don't need you anymore, bye.
I mean, yeah, I want to kind of swing back around to this episode and the tribal council where you were voted off. You received 3 votes, I believe, by Quinn, Caleb, and ultimately Lindsay, who
Yeah,
flipped because I know her name was voted off. You talk about her being a number, but like, what was your relationship with Lindsay throughout kind of the whole game?
I'm really glad they edited. I feel like a lot of it out, or maybe the footage was lost. Maybe my like burning of it helped, but my perception of Lindsay at the very beginning was someone that I felt like it, it's so difficult whenever you're on there and there's someone and you feel like you're a huge target, like I felt like I was. So you're automatically looking for who can I throw under the bus that is going to be someone that I can shift the attacks to if we lose tribal council. And for me, it was Lindsay. She was just someone that had talked a lot, and I felt like, oh, maybe she's someone that. And she had at that point had also said that she knew Maggie, so I was like, oh, maybe she's a, maybe that would be something I can use so that I'm not the first person voted off. Then we kind of kept I don't know, I felt like she was someone that kind of rode the coattails of others, but then again, so was I. So I had no reason to really I don't feel like I held resentment, but it was I don't know why I kept up this like thing of like, gotta vote Lindsay out, gotta vote Lindsay out, gotta vote Lindsay out. And then at tribal council, I don't know if you're going to ask this, but at tribal council, whenever Caleb and Quinn pull out their immunity idols and everything just descends into chaos, I'm sitting over there with me and Nikki are talking, and Lindsay is there, and then I think I look up to talk to Sean or Mark, and then I look back and I see Lindsay mouth the word vote Jacob, or what I thought was vote Jacob. So that's whenever you see me get up and kind of say, don't do that, don't do that. And then I run over to like, I don't know. And I'm just like upset because I'm hurt because I feel like she's like organizing a vote against me, which my back's already to the wall. I already know there's nothing I can tell Caleb and Quinn that are not going to get me to vote at this point. They're not going to vote me at this point. So I know I'm gone and I'm trying to like throw whatever at them that sticks. And so Lindsay does that. And I'm like, I don't know, this like underlying thought process that I had was like, oh, well, just yell at Lindsay. and that'll definitely solve something, and it didn't. And I did apologize to her, like, after the game. I came up to her, I was like, I'm sorry that I yelled in your face. Like, I know like that's not very mature or like nice of me to do, to scream at you and then go over to Caleb and say, "You can vote Lindsay if you want." And then I don't even think they showed it in the episode, but then Caleb's like, "Oh yeah, vote Lindsay. I can do that." And then I'm like, "I didn't say that." And I'm like just balling up my fist because I'm so mad because I'm just know I'm going home and there's literally nothing I can do.
I mean, yeah, ultimately in that tribal council, the numbers were still on your side. It was just successful idol play that what got you out.
Hmm.
It's because Quinn and Caleb were like, I guess, so set on voting you out. And I don't remember if it's fully explained in the episode, but during kind of tribal council, they talk about you were kind of watching them, were being sent to them when they were looking for idols. Can you kind of explain that situation a little bit?
Yeah, so I said in the episode, now that I think back, I don't think that they showed it, but another thing, the entire game, I was like, I'm not going to really take charge because whenever I take charge, I feel like I'm just in a physical, I'm like the tallest person there. So I felt like with that, I'm seen as an intimidating force, even though I don't try to be. And I'm a loud talker and I talk a lot. And I felt like so people kind of lump me into kind of like that. Oh, we got to keep an eye on him because he starts calling us shots. He's telling us what to do. And like, that's not what I want to do. That's the one episode that I'm like, okay, maybe I should start calling the shots because I'm like, the numbers aren't working out. And if they get an idol, I'm going home. So I told everyone we need to start babysitting them. And that's where, I said, tackle them, pull it out of their pocket, whatever. They're not getting it. And so, to my knowledge, I didn't know that Caleb had an idol then. Because I think he already had one going into the next day. He didn't find it. So,
Yeah, I think he was going into this episode.
yeah. So I said, someone needs to go babysit him in the woods. And that's also what I'm trying to do of like, okay, Lindsay, go watch them. So then I can talk to my people and be like, okay, what, Anna, go watch them. Someone like get out of here so that I can also be pulling people off. But then I end up, because I'm like telling people to go do it, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to go now. So then I go, and then, all of my alliance has been able to talk like, oh, finally, Jacob's not here. So like he's a huge threat, right? Yeah, we should like get his vote off. Maybe not this episode, but like the next two if I'm still there. So it's all that. I felt like it would have worked, even though Caleb would have had it, Quinn would have had it. But I don't even know where Quinn found the idol. I still don't know. And my mind, I was running so fast. I think I forgot that Quinn was even there and that it was just Caleb. Because I was only telling people to go watch Caleb. And at the end of the day, he already had an idol, so it didn't matter. But he was acting. He was out there, like literally on his hands and knees, scooping up stuff, like talking to you. Like, man, I really hope I find this idol. Because he's smart. He knows that I'm not going to vote for him or vote with him. So he's just like, oh well, I guess I'll just make this guy look like an idiot when I already have an idol in my shoe.
Yeah, you said you had a relationship with Aziza, but
Mhm.
did you have any conversations about like possibly aligning in the earlier parts of the merge with like Caleb or Quinn at all?
No, Quinn is very, very quiet. He is an observer, and that is a great quality that I wish I had more. I felt like I have to add something to the conversation, which is a fault of mine. And it's a handicap whenever you're in a social game and like you need that kind of like let me talk to you to really forge those early bonds. But whenever you're in the long game and being able to really look back and pick apart, because it was like him and Aziza that saw like, Sean isn't really a person that he's kind of quiet too. Let's go talk to him. And then they struck gold with him. If it would have worked out to vote out Anna, I really feel like he was a mastermind behind a lot of stuff. And with Caleb, no, I never trusted him. He was also like, I think he was the second tallest guy. So I was like, okay, he's kind of a physical threat. And then he would stand over there with us because Anna and Lindsay trusted him from whenever they were together because he voted out Jameson with them and tell us that he was going to vote for us and then vote for me at like the very next tribal council, the first tribal council after the merge. So I was like, I don't trust you. I'm never going to trust you. You voted for me. And I just kind of felt like he was desperate at that point, and he had nothing to offer me except to be voted off. So
I mean, in the beginning of the season, you were placed on the humanities and STEM, the humanities of the humanities and STEM tribe, and it was kind of seen as the more dominant tribe. And we didn't really get to see a whole lot in terms of like relationship building, but like, what relationships did you make in the original kind of pre-swap tribe?
yeah, me and Mark were both pretty close. We're kind of similar. Mark is a person that likes to talk to people, can talk to anyone. So me and him, I felt like we kind of bonded pretty fast. We also like kind of knew each other a little bit before the show. That's kind of a bad thing whenever like you're just doing it at a university, because there's always the given chance that like, whatever it was, Dodgeball Alliance, like someone knows each other, and from season one. So me and Mark kind of knew each other. Me and Sean followed each other on Instagram. We had met at like a football game one time, and him and his friend sat beside me, and so we met that way. And so me and Sean were close, and then me and Nikki were close. It was three people that I had maybe spoken a sentence to before the game started that I got the closest with. And then of course Jake. Jake and I were close, but we kind of it was like a symbiotic relationship. We felt like we had to really cling on to each other.
Mhm. And if like the humanities tribe had lost, like maybe the first or second challenge, who do you think would have been the one being voted off?
I was going to push Lindsay as hard as possible. That's
Mhm.
already who I had. That's who I was, and I was like, well, I can't let Mia Jake go, and I know everyone else. And Anna's pretty fun. Okay, let's just vote Lindsay.
I mean, makes sense. So after the swap, you're swapped with Nikki, Sean, Mark, Ryder, and Jay, and it's kind of again a back-to-back where you're voting off the two STEM tribes. Like, was there any thought in your mind that you were going to flip with them, or were you kind of set in stone with the kind of the three people that you said that you were aligned with?
Yeah, I was set in stone. There was nothing for me to gain to really flip. It was. It's really so sad that Ryder and they really at that game. It is just a game of luck, because they got put on a tribe with four people that were already close to each other on the previous tribe. And in the early game, I felt like we're really setting the precedent of the tribe of like we're all people that know the game the best, so we're all going to play it this way. And then we all got put, the four quote unquote self-appointed leaders in my mind, on another tribe. So then it's sorry, like I'm not going to vote for you. It also served me no purpose, because if anything, I'm on the outs of that, because it's super easy for them to vote me out and then to take Ryder and Jay with them. So why do I need to change that up?
Mhm. Oh yeah, so I want to move into kind of the little game that I do. I'm gonna just tell you the name of everyone from the merged tribe, and then just tell me first thoughts, first sentence, just like word association.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So first name is Aziza.
Hilarious, super smart, all around amazing person.
Jake.
Uh, quiet but super fun and a gamer.
Sean.
Quiet, a bro, but also really smart.
Caleb.
Uh, I feel like he's kind of a little bit of a hippie and a free soul. And I like that about him.
Mark.
Very charismatic and also smart.
Anna.
Super smart. It's deceiving how smart she is. She also has great teeth. Very pretty teeth.
Quinn.
Quinn is also on the show. You don't really get to see it, but outside of the show, he's an amazing person. He is so funny. He's quiet, but he's just holding back so many talents. He's awesome.
Lindsay.
Someone that likes to talk a lot, but is really genuine and caring. Like she does care about people.
And Nikki.
Another person that's so smart and such a caring person that She genuinely, if you're talking to Nikki, she genuinely cares about what you're talking about and cares about your best interest. She's awesome.
Really positive with these.
Of course.
Of course, yeah, obviously. Do you have any, like, last thoughts about your experience playing in season 2?
It was super fun. I wish I had more time to prepare for it. Um, I also should have flipped with Aziza. It's my biggest regret. Literally have nightmares about it at night, and I lurch up in my bed and like screaming because I've had a nightmare. The game would have been totally different, and I felt like I it was going to be virtually impossible for me to make it to the final, but I that was my only chance, and I blew it. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Aziza. I should have saved you. Sorry, Anna. If I had to vote you out.
Yeah, and then anything else you wanna add in general?
I felt like I was so mean this season, and then I feel like I don't know if it's the edit or I've just felt like I was a lot meaner. I feel like everyone's like I'm getting a pretty fair shake. Like they're not showing that I'm as mean as I thought I was.
It was hard because I know in the original Humanities Tribe, like, a lot wasn't shown just because you guys kept winning, so maybe
Yeah,
some of those dynamics didn't play into play there.
yeah. Because I felt like I was really like a demon, a villain in the like original Humanities Tribe because everyone was so nice. I think literally my first confessional was, and if you want to edit this in there, I'll try to like segue it in. My first confessional, I literally said I'm ready to vote Lindsay out right now. Like she's talking too much, and I feel like she's the only person I could target right now. So let's vote Lindsay. I think that was my first confessional. That was the first thing I said.
Makes
And they
sense.
ed-
I mean, I don't know yeah, I don't remember a lot of, like, the confessionals that were put in the earlier episodes
yeah, I
for your
well
tribe.
they didn't put it in. I think they put in my confessional, but they didn't put in that part of my confessional. Which I mean, hey,
Mhm.
it's fine. But I was literally like, Lindsay's talking too much. Ah, get rid of her. And then
Yeah.
I think there's another one where I was literally like, Caleb's talking too much. Like Caleb's a snake. Let's get him out of here. I don't like him. And they kept that out too.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jacob, with this interview, and, yeah, watch the next episode.
Of course.